Welcome to the Filthy Frank Show. Hey guys, Nova Republic here. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Why are you on Solos's channel? You have your own channel. Well, the thing is, today I am partnered with Solos to show you what we believe to be one of the best builds in the game, and definitely the best build that has come out of either of our creative ability. So, Solos, care to elaborate on what we're showing off today?
Hello, welcome. So today I am joined with Tomatart and we are showing off the wonderful Lantean Bomber. So the Lantean Bomber was designed originally by Mallacore, a deviant artist, and we have reproduced his build near perfectly in the game Skywanderers, as you would expect, and we are here to show it off today. Seeing as this is a joint build between Tomatart of Nova Republic and myself, he's here with me today, and that is why we are showing it off together.
Yep, very well said. So, as this is a cooperative project, we both took on very large elements of the ship, and I did most of the exterior, pretty much all of it, when it comes down to shaping as well as greebling and detail. That was my field. While at the same time, Solos spent hours upon hours, days and weeks building the interior, a fully functional and aesthetically pleasing Lantean style interior across the entire ship. We're talking operating, what do they call them? Airlocks.
Operating airlocks, yep.
We got operating airlocks, decorative hallways, bedrooms with faucets. We got a working bridge, engineering, weapons bays, everything you could possibly think of. He put this in here all on his own, and it's absolutely beautiful. So, without further ado, let's start a walk around. So, we'll start on the outside since we're out here and go over some of the stuff. Coming up to the starting with the front, move our way back. So, you can see all the levels of greebling that went into this. It's very, very heavily detailed. We got not just large sections, but everything goes down to such a small scale. As you can see, you got like this whole like extra paneling here, but then in the paneling has smaller paneling, and the paneling has details in the paneling. It's a lot going on everywhere. And you could look at this ship for quite a while and still notice new things constantly. It's I really, really did spend a lot of time going heavily into the detail to get it that accurate look from Mallacore's original artwork.
Yeah, the greebling really is extensive, and as you might have guessed, took many hours on Tomatart's behalf getting this right. And as you might have noticed, a lot of the ship is angled at certain angles which you just can't achieve on blocks. So, as you might have guessed, it is mostly child entity based. Therefore, with no child entity mirroring, everything, well, near everything on the outside had to be built twice, and a good portion of that goes to Tomatart here as well. And just overall, the entire shape of the ship was achieved so perfectly by Tomatart.
Yeah, it took a while. So we decided early on that we wanted to go with a as perfect replica as possible. So we really tried not to cut any corners anywhere at all on the build. And because of that, we used child editing to get proper angles and detailing. So because of that, nothing would mirror. Had to build everything on one side and then duplicate it on the other side. Just doubled the amount of time it took for the detailing itself, which was pretty tedious, but at the end it was completely worth it, and I wouldn't have done it any other way.
Yeah, I completely agree. It, as you can see, it is just spot on with how we wanted it to look and how it does look, and I wouldn't change it in any way. It's just right on.
Yeah. As you can see on the screen now, the original artwork, you can really compare the detailing within the ship to the actual greebling on the 3D model built by Mallacore. It's I looked at every minor detail, and I tried my absolute best to replicate everything down to the smallest detail.
And as did I with the interior. So whilst we haven't gone to that yet, if you saw in that picture there, then you'll see that there is a particular layout that Mallacore designed for the interior, and I tried my best to stick to that. And actually having it meet up with the exterior was relieving to see that the airlocks actually fit where they were supposed to fit. And whilst it did go against what a lot of the stuff I was planning for the interior, like 5-block wide corridors, Tomatart's encouragement along the way certainly helped me get the proportions of the interior right to work with the exterior. So with his exterior work and my interior work, they really just did meet up quite perfectly, and they produced the wonderful ship for you.
Yeah, see, another thing with the perfect accuracy we were aiming for is that we had to choose a scale to build upon. Now, the model itself didn't come with any proper scaling for how big each element was or the whole ship. So we really had to eyeball things and try to estimate, but we wanted it to stay true to what would have been a 1-to-1 scale had this been in a show, per se. So basing it off of small things like airlock doors and the actual view of the cockpit we had, we really managed to choose a practical size that fit both the detailing element as well as the practicality element, and kept it true to the model itself still. So that probably put a big strain on Solos, because now we have this accurate shell and shape that worked out, and now he had to fit the interior around that. He had limited space, limited freedom to do to build the interior, while needing to maintain the proper interior layout presented in the blueprint designs from Mallacore. So this is honestly a very challenging build on both parts due to the accuracy that we really tried to achieve in this build.
Yeah, completely in agreement there. So, in fact, I think most of it was based off the chair on the bridge. We basically said that's 1 meter, and then I managed to measure out initially a very rough model of the outside of the ship, which was extremely rough in the long run, and we ended up having to change that in quite a good deal, extending the ship by another easily 50 blocks, and overall just adding so much more to the ship. And it's just turned out really well. So there's not a whole lot more going on outside. Things that will be noteworthy straight off the bat would be the turrets. It's a little bit difficult to see them in some of the shadowing, but basically they should be a little bit bigger, but with the blocks available in the game, it's hard to make them look quite the right size, but they still look amazing, and Tomatart did the turrets here and they look really good in my opinion, so I'm pretty happy with how they are regardless of the slight scale which you might notice between the image and the actual build in game.
Yeah, the turrets were a difficult one because as you know, with the game, it has a lot of freedom. Just looking at the detailing, you can see how in depth you can really get in the opportunities that are presented. But the turrets themselves were difficult because with the accurate sizing, they fit right in between brick and block scale. So it was going to be really difficult to get a proper barrel sizing, because if we went with the meter pipes, it was way too big, and it did not look good at all. And so the only other option we had were the brick pipes, which are too small, but it definitely looks better and fits better with the ship than had we gone with a enlarged size, which was the alternative.
Yeah, and in future, if we did get when we get the new weapon system, perhaps they will get revisited, but for the moment there's actually no reason to go back to them. They fit really well with the ship, they sort of blend in with it, and they don't exactly stick out like a sore thumb or anything. They're just there and they look good. So I'd say that they're well worth keeping as they are for the moment at least. Other notable weapons on the exterior, I guess, are the drone launchers, which are also a little bit difficult to see, but I'll just fly a bit closer to them and use the flashlight here. So there are 4 drone launchers per side on the large wings, and then another 4 drone launchers up the front. So whilst we did have guided missiles working in game, they were quite spectacular to watch. But for the moment, with the weapon systems being reworked, we can't exactly show off their drone-styled nature. So at the moment, it's just the launchers, which I feel like have been captured decently.
Yeah, the drone launchers are definitely as you can see, we'll have a link to the description to a clip from a stream while we were building this, and you can see the drones in action in the game. So even though we can't demonstrate it now, you will be able to see it as they were when they previously worked. So
Indeed. So
Solos, you want to move inside and start showing off the interior?
Okay, sure thing. I guess best place to start will be one of the front airlocks.
Yep.
So we'll just come on down to the airlock here, and I've gone with a pretty simple button system. Basically, you've got the top button is open and the bottom button is closed on a 2-button system, but when there are 3 buttons involved, the top button is a lockout button. So we'll get to that when we actually get inside. I'll just turn the flashlight off now. There are Latin words on the buttons, so exolventur, from memory that is airlock or something along those lines. It'll be inside, outside of airlocks, something around that. But airlocks are functional, open one door and then the other door closes, just like you would expect an airlock to do. So this is one of the main walkways. It actually feels a lot bigger now that I'm in here for some reason with another person. But basically you've got long corridors. The airlocks are separate from the rest of the ship really. So you got the front airlock here, and then if you follow down the pathway here, you'll get to the rear airlock, which is separate from the main concourse of the ship. Just off to the side here we have a storage room, so I'll just quickly show that off. Storage room, very basic detailing with random things stored inside these containers, and a few of them have little Easter eggs inside of them, but it's not something I'll be going into great depth with this video.
And as you can see on the screen now, you'll notice the actual pattern of the interior from Mallacore's original model. And as we move through the ship, you can hopefully be able to compare the actual model to what we have, what Solus has built inside. So
yeah, so I've tried to keep everything into proportion and scale and extremely accurate. And also I'll just cover the 3-button door now. So you've got the top button which locks out the other side's control panel, middle button which opens, and then bottom button which closes the door. So that's just a standard design I've gone with on these doors now. We'll just stick to the airlock chamber for now. Along the roof you'll notice air vents, perhaps a few too many, but it is a big ship so they need a lot of air. You've got the storage room for the rear airlock, which has a mock spacesuit of ancient design and various other things nearby. So this is a drone rack just here behind Tomatart, and you've also got various guided missile launchers, so drone control boxes we'll call them. And that's basically it here. Storage rooms are pretty basic and the same on both sides, but each container has different things in them to create a sort of, random feel. This is the rear airlock, so there's about a 3-second delay before the door opens, or 2 seconds or something. And if we step in here and then we press the open on this door, then we have access to out here, which brings us to the rear airlock outside.
and so you can see how we moved along the inside of the ship. It really didn't seem like we went very far, but we actually pretty much traversed from the front to the back.
Yeah, so you don't
And
even
out of
realise.
it.
Just all the way from there to there. It's quite a distance, despite the fact it seemed like it wasn't very far to travel. So now that we're back in here, we will just open this door here. This is just one of the control trays, basically, for the door control. Both sides have them, etc. We'll just pit stop into the drone room for the moment. So on the actual design, which I'll just flash up on the screen again, there is actually no way into the drone rooms as far as the diagrams go, but coming back into game, I just sort of tried to make it look as, hidden as possible without going too far from Mallacore's original design. So you can't really see much in here at the moment, but if you switch on the lights for the room, you get a hologram of a drone, you get the drone count of this drone bay, which is 139, and we're in the port drone bay. So as you can see here, we've got lots of drones all just sitting in their racks. They're a little bit big for how big they should be. A standard drone should actually be probably half as big as that, but with the scale, and I was pretty happy with how they looked. So that's what we've got.
Yeah, they're definitely beautiful drones. They look good and they fit with the detail. And again, these are a non-functional detail. We can't actually shoot these out of anything, but they look good and they play the part very well.
Yes, and of course there's manual firing, so there's not a whole lot to these rooms, but considering there wasn't a whole lot to go off, considering there's only ever one shot of a drone room in Stargate, I sort of had to go with what I felt was right, and it looks decent in my opinion. But we'll just leave the airlock ward off the ship and head into the main Pelagas, which is basically Latin for main. So main being main corridor. So there's a sort of security corridor here which separates the airlock side of the ship to the rest of the ship, and in these central doors they all close after a certain amount of time goes by to prevent any sort of accidental door being left open situation. Up towards the front we have the bridge and the crew quarters and other stuff, and then towards the back we have engineering. So Tomatart, if you want to choose a direction.
Start with engineering.
Engineering.
And the right side of the ship is a direct mirror of the left side, so we don't need to be showing that.
Yeah, so very
it's, what we just
minor.
went through.
Yeah. So this is engineering. Also very difficult to create an engineering with no engineering shots shown in the show. There was one image in a comic of Engineering Bay, and that's only a very recent comic, but a complete different era of Stargate ship. That was on the Destiny, that comic. This is sort of Atlantis era, and so wasn't really sure what to do with this, but I think I did as best as I could have done. So all of these consoles aren't hooked up yet, because we will need to wait for weapon systems and more detail in other systems. But as you can see, Tomatart's just sort of fiddling around. There is a button which moves the chair along from one console to another, which I feel is what Mallacore's design was going for. It looks like shields have been activated, but none of the ZPMs are plugged in, so we'll just plug some ZPMs in. 1 and 2 and the third one, and as you can see, power is now raising back up and the shields are active, so the ship won't explode, don't worry about that. Would you like to explain the ZPM activation that you just did? Yep, sure thing. So the Mallacore is a 3 ZPMs ship. Ideally it should only be 1, but we're going off the idea that this ship is multi-purpose and could be out away from power sources for a long time, and so they've got 3 ZPMs in case they're away from, say, Atlantis or home base for a long time. So that was just sort of a personal opinion to go for. 3 ZPMs, and I don't know, they're pretty good. You just press the ZPM buttons and you can enable and disable an entire section of power. So if we were to disable all 3 of them, you'll see that the balance is at 245%. If I activate one of them, then the balance is now at 68%. We are now gaining power instead of losing it. And you can just activate more ZPMs for more and more power. So it's sort of like a very basic way to give yourself more power for more systems, for say engines, shields, weapons, and in general just power for the ship. So it's pretty basic, and you can just see them unplug and replug there.
Very nice. Very, very nice. So, looking at this console here, it's I can see that there are buttons for engines as well as a teleporter.
Yep, so these two consoles are somewhat complete. This one is a shield console. You can simply drag the shield, so in this case I can disable the shields for the ship, or I can slide them up to enable them. And as you can see, shields are now building up. Then this one is more or less the engine, so you can actually disable different engine grids. So the side engines are maneuvering engines, and then the main engine is the main rear engine, which you would have seen from outside. And a teleporter, of course, for in case you need to teleport onto the ship, which is just hidden in the floor there to some extent. And other side, I don't think this one's hooked up yet. This one, yeah, so this one will be hooked up once we get weapons and stuff. But you can basically still move the chair along, and I'm pretty sure you can enter the control thing and you can swivel the chair. Yeah. So all the chairs on the ship are swivel chairs, just in case you want to swivel. Unfortunately, I don't think it shows in multiplayer, so that is unfortunate. There's also a weapons table here on this side here. So in case you need to construct a weapon, you've got a weapons table and you can build on. We won't stay too long in this section of engineering, but we will go into the maintenance corridors. So I imagine that's what victim stands for, I can't remember. But basically there's maintenance corridors down the side here, so each one of these is a logic tray with various logic for somewhere in the ship. If you ever need to do something with the ship, you can generally just open a particular tray. I think one of these was meant to be to reset the entire ship power grid, but yeah, this button here, so it resets everything. So we can just press that, it will unplug the ZPMs, turn off the shields, turn off the engines. And it looks like that door is locked, so we'll actually just have to come back out and then unlock it from here. So door lock, so it should now open. There we are. So as you can see, you've got Tomatart in here, he's with the ZPMs, and we'll actually just get the ship core maintenance to open up, which is just behind here. It's basically just somewhere I can link to the hyperdrive, power block, the shield block, ship core, etc. And
Very, very nice.
Basically all there is to it. 3 ZPMs. And then you've got this room here. So there's not a whole lot more to do with engineering. You've got the upper and lower deck hatches for maintenance. So this one will go up towards shielding and power grid subsection 1. So that's shield systems and power grid number 1. And then you can go all the way down to the front of the ship. And there's ventilation shafts running through here. So in case you need to get to a particular room, you can come up into the maintenance area and then go through the ventilation shafts into different rooms. But it's very basic in here at the moment.
Very nice, very nice.
And I guess.
How do we get down?
Yeah, just the ladder there, and then you got the switch there, which hides panel, and then we'll just quickly show basement. This is power grid subsection 2 with the hologram for the drone in the drone bays, and then you got power grid subsection 3, which is up the front of the ship. So I've just tried to separate them for maximum chance of not being destroyed.
And there is a big element to this ship that we did not actually end up being able to build, and that is the massive bombs that the ship is equipped with that can drop out of the lower bay. We did not get to that part of the ship.
Actually, I got to one of
explain.
them. So if we just come up into this side maintenance bay, I've actually got, I think it's that switch, not that switch, this switch here. I started work on a bomb at one point. It's extremely basic, and well, this is the sort of scale that Mallacore had in mind with his bombs according to the diagram, and apparently there's 6 per side and somehow there will be a mechanism that lowers them out of the ship, but I haven't really gotten to that. So best thing I can show is what I had in mind, which is basically that the bombs be ZPM powered. So they've got 2 ZPMs in there which go critical against each other, and the idea is that the bombs be power enough to blow up an entire sort of planet. And the ship has 12 of them on board, so you know, fear the Lantean Bomber. But yeah, this room is incomplete, as you would have guessed, and hence why the button is accessible through a logic tree. So
Alright, well, let's head up to the front and showcase more living quarter areas.
Indeed. Alrighty, so there's the airlock sort of doors, and then coming up here on the right we have the medical lab, or medical bay. So medical bay, it's pretty straightforward. You got the desk and a swivelly chair for the medical doctor person. You've got 2 scanner beds which have a green scanner on them, and you've got a sort of medicine cabinet, as well as a stasis pod, which I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So I can just put Tomatart in here and put him into stasis. And you sort of get like just a little bit of texture up the top there. It looks like it's frosted over, but yeah, I don't know, it looks pretty good. I also hid a few Easter eggs around the ship. If and when we release it to the public to download and look around, maybe you'll discover it, but there is one Easter egg in the medical bay. Stargate related, of course.
I don't know of this, so I can't tell you, so don't ask.
Yeah, it's just a little thing I put in afterwards, which I had to cram into the inner workings of the ship. But that's the medical bay, which is Salutum, so that's probably health or
I found it.
medicine. Okay, then you got on this side here, you've got the mess hall, which is pretty generic and not very good, but the idea is that you can have 8 people in here, 6 crew members and 2 guest people, and they've got plates, cups. There's no meal synthesizers or anything yet, but in the future perhaps. This is basically just the internal layout design we had from Mallacore, which I've stuck to my best too. Yes, and it's got the little bathroom here, so you got the toilet paper, hand towel and sink with a little door. So
Very nice.
Yeah. Moving on, these are the crew quarters. So down the bottom here you can see which room you're in. There are 6 rooms for crew quarters, and depending on how many little tiles are on the bottom half of the door, so this one only has 5 in the top part here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means it's crew quarters number 5. This one has 6, which means it's crew quarters number 6. It's basically going off the ancient numbering system. So we'll just have a look in one of these rooms now. Very basic. You've got a dressing table, a nice cozy bed, Lantean sort of lighting there. Yes, a wardrobe with towels, blankets and such inside, and one glitching texture there. And then you've got the bathroom, which has got a sink, bathroom, toilet, shower, towels, etc. No doors on these ones though. Just, I don't know, it's the person's personal bedroom. I'm sure they can do without a door. So yeah, that's the bedroom. There's 6 of them, they're all identical. And here you got room number 1, room number 2, etc. And then up to the final room, which is the bridge. So this is the bridge. And first thing that people notice when they walk in is the plaque of the ship, which is spelt out in ancient as Mallacore. So we decided to call the ship the Mallacore. I think that was Tomatart's idea. Just generally a good idea, which I loved straight away. So just went with that, and I think it works. So you got the sort of neural control chair, which has got like blue glowing lights around it. and just a tilt back sort of function. You've also got the general consoles, so you got the shields console, the power console, so you can disable each, or enable or disable each ZPM here. So ZPM 1, 2, and 3. Internal systems, so you got like a ASCII layout of the ship here, lighting, gravity, doors, and you can close all doors, lock all doors, internal lighting, which I'll get to eventually because there's a lot of lights on the ship to hook up, and then gravity button when we get gravity. Next up is the drone control panel. You've got getting into the drone sort of firing mode. That will be fire one drone, fire the left drones, fire the right drones, fire the center drones, and then respective cameras for each of the drone launches, which isn't hooked up yet, hence why it's just a list at the moment. Then turret control, so you can go into each turret here. You get a triple burst for a primary fire, and then a single burst for a secondary fire. And you just sort of, get to fire that. And you can press the yellow button here, which will reset the turret back to its forward pointing to position. Unfortunately, there's no underside turrets yet, so these buttons here aren't hooked up yet. As you can see, right turret being fired. So yeah, they're just turrets. And then you've got the external systems. So you've got the forward lights, which I'll just enable now, fly outside. So you've got these headlights on the front here. And then disabling them, you can see them turned off. So eventually the outside of the ship will have more and more sort of functional headlights, which you can turn on and off for ghost mode sort of thing. And then you've also got the airlocks, which you can open manually from the bridge, and disabling and enabling the engines here, and then hyperdrive. So that's basically it for the bridge. You got control consoles here, the main mind controlling chair, and that's about it.
Very nice. I can see up here there's more screens with data.
Yeah, more data screens, just because when I actually started to fly the ship a bunch for test flying, I realised that I was turning around to look at the power systems a lot, and it would be easier if I just had data screens up above, so I ended up installing those without straying too far from Lantean design.
This is a very nice interior. Very well done.
Indeed, thank you. So that's interior. And this is the Mallacore, as it is. So
The forbidden room.
this is power grid subsection 3. So you've got, this is probably, linked for all the doors. But yeah, it's just sort of like a maintenance access walkway, which you can use to walk all the way to the back of the ship and the front of the ship. Thank you.
All right.
Cool. Any comments? Final comments?
This is a very beautiful ship, and this took many weeks to build.
Yes,
A lot of hours, a lot of streams, but we did it. I'm very happy with it, and I'm glad to be able to show it to all the fans and everybody who will love this ship as well.
Yes, it's a wonderful ship. Couldn't have done it without Tomatart, and many hours did go into it. Many hours. Basically the whole time I wasn't posting videos, this is what was being worked on streams with Tomatart on his channel. So this is the Ancient Bomber. We hope you like it, and that's it from me.
See you guys next time. Hello everybody, back at you again, another video. So today, what I have to show you is this new ship that I've been building. I'm kidding.
I was wondering when it would end. I'm just like, well, I mean, he can try and keep it up for the whole episode, but people have heard him before.
Hey everybody. Nick, we're starting over.
Yeah.
This takes me a while.
Yeah.
God, you know what? I forget. I can actually move straight up, can I?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna do that. Okay, let's do that again.
Yeah, that was kind of close.
I hit it.